Come read with me. We're reading from my autobiography, Six of One, Half a Dozen the Other. I'm Violet Calkins, and this is a memoir. Reading from the chapter, A New Start. I attended 3 different high schools in 3 years. Central High for my freshman year, McLean for my sophomore year, and Fowler High School. I started my freshman year at Central High School, which required riding the bus for several miles to school and home. Since school began in the late fall and ended in the spring, much of the school year was cold and foggy. Many days, when the fog was too thick to make driving safe, school would be delayed for a few hours or postponed for the day. They called that foggy day schedule. Some days, the windows of the bus would be covered in frost, which limited our view to the outside. The bus heaters were always inadequate. Riding to school was usually an unpleasant and time-wasting experience. PE, or physical education, was another unpleasant experience because no matter what the weather was like, we were required to go outside and participate in games of soccer, basketball, or baseball. We were required to wear gym shorts even in the cold winter, while the boys and the gym teachers were dressed warmly in sweatpants and sweatshirts. We were freezing our buns in skimpy gym uniforms. The fun sports like golf and trampoline never seemed to make it to our class. Consequently, I spent a portion of each day freezing in my shorts in the chilling fog, playing games I hated. The high points of high school were participating in the school choir and art class, which always netted me the only A's on my report card. Central High had a jukebox in the cafeteria where students played the latest tunes and danced through the lunch hour to groups such as the Everly Brothers, the Righteous Brothers, the Supremes, the Doors, the Monkees, the Beatles, the Grassroots, the Beach Boys, Aretha Franklin, James Brown. I served lunches and dried dishes listening to You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin', Surfer Girl. While the other students were enjoying the camaraderie, I labored to pay for my meals. Home economics was a required class, and I struggled through the sewing class, ripping out seams over and over until I hated both the garment I had created and the teacher for torturing me. Cooking was a little more fun, since we were able to sample the food we cooked. Unfortunately, the teacher thought we should learn to cook things like poached eggs and make our own salad dressing. None of the things that we cooked were very appetizing. We once had a cooking project which required each group to make an original sandwich. The teacher put a list of ingredients on the chalkboard, and we could choose the ones we wanted. Our group chose pineapple and chicken. Our sandwich was original, but hardly palatable. The interesting thing about home economics was that the teacher showed us a film about the future kitchen. Remember, this was in 1966. A future kitchen that was supposed to replace the large open farm kitchens that were familiar in many homes. We were told that the new kitchens would be horseshoe-shaped and would include microwave ovens that would cook without heat, automatic dishwashers, and built-in appliances. It was hard to imagine such things in 1960. Well, I put 64 here, but I think it was in 66. It seemed to be so futuristic and unlikely. I hated English class. I especially hated doing sentence diagrams, but the worst of all was math. My freshman year math class was with Mr. Broom. He was not a handsome teacher. At the beginning of the class, he gave us a syllabus, which we had no idea how to use, and told us, read the book, do the work. If you have any questions, come to me and ask. He did not give any instructions on the chalkboard. Well, of course, I was not going to ask. I could barely talk to my peers. I flunked the class and missed out on my fundamental math. Someone should have reported him for his negligence. High school for me was primarily a lost cause. If I had had any encouragement or realized how smart I was, I could have done well. As it was, school was a chore I could have done without. But by the way, this isn't in the book, but I have done many IQ tests, and I can tell you I was smart. High school for me was primary lost cause. One of the pluses of attending high school was that Mama recognized my need for decent clothing. About halfway through the year, she took me shopping and purchased some new clothes for me. Permanent press fabric was brand new that year, and many new clothes were being made from polyester fabric that refused to wrinkle. That meant no more ironing. Mama said I could have 2 outfits, so I chose a light blue pleated skirt and a matching blouse. I also chose a yellow print skirt and a yellow silky blouse. I realize now that although I liked them, the colors were all wrong for me. As a redhead, fall colors looked best on me. Reds, rust, burgundy, forest green, and navy all would have worked well, but the clothes were fresh and stylish, if not complimentary. Moving seemed to be the normal state of affairs in our family. We never seemed to find the house that was just right. Occasionally, my parents became victims of unscrupulous landlords. Now, I'm having some difficulties here. Hold on. Okay. Unscrupulous landlords. So by my junior year, I was attending Fowler High. My junior year was for the most part a good one. Fowler High School was a very small country school. The classes also tended to be small. This was good for me because it was easier to get to know fellow students. In fact, I had quite a few friends, and we spent our lunch times and breaks together talking and having a good time. We lived on North Avenue in the country, on the south central end of Fresno. Our house was surrounded on all sides by grape vineyards and fruit trees. Our house and the ones next door were the only 2 on North Avenue, between Cedar and Chestnut Avenue. Those roads were spaced 1 mile apart. My brother Randall and his wife lived in the house next door. We had no other close neighbors. Perhaps because so many of the students lived in rural areas, we were closer when we were together at school than in the city schools. Mary, one of my friends, lived around the corner on several acres and got off the bus 1 stop before me. Another friend, Natalie, lived a few miles east of me on the same road. I still have never figured out why North Avenue is on the far south end of town. I guess it's one of those mysteries we are never meant to solve. Natalie's father was a farmer and owned many acres of grapes. Their house was set back away from the road in the grape vineyard. This was a solitary and isolated setting in which to live. They had been robbed on a couple of occasions, perhaps because the house could not be seen from the road. Natalie invited me and some other friends to her house for a slumber party in honor of her birthday. Her parents left for the evening and told us that they would return later that night. We were having a great time, putting on makeup, playing games, listening to music, and eating, when all of a sudden the lights went out. Our first thought was that some of the boys from school had heard about the party and decided to play a prank on us by turning off the power to scare us. But after a few minutes, when the power did not return, we began to get a little nervous. Natalie told us that they had been robbed several times and that we became frightened. Then, as if to confirm our worst fears, a car backed into the driveway and stopped, turning off the headlights. "My parents have a gun. I'll get it," Natalie whispered. Then, as we all crouched down by the kitchen sink to avoid being spotted, the person with the car began to shine a flashlight around outside. We shivered and squealed in low whispers and asked, "What shall we do?" "Give me the gun," one of the girls said. Before we could stop her, she had it in her hand and cocked. I stood behind the window and looked out to see what was happening, hoping to avoid being accidentally shot by the impulsive girl. The prowler was opening the trunk of the car and putting something into it. When I relayed this information, Natalie looked out also. Then, with a sigh of relief, she said, "Excuse me, it's just my uncle." Somehow, we got the pistol uncocked before anyone got shot, and Natalie ran out to tell her uncle about the lights. He said that he stopped by to get some things from the garage and thought, because the lights were out, that no one was home. As it turned out, someone had crashed into a power pole down the road, which had caused the blackout. By this time, we were about ready to go to bed. It took several hours for the power to come back on, and we used the time to tell scary stories. All in all, we had a pretty good time in spite of the scare we had.